He has this charm that makes you hate your hormones.
I think Vijay's appeal is really the rawness.
But back then they considered him too sophisticated.
He was very clear that he would not do the same role again.
He gets bored by these characters easily.
Yeah.
And
he said, I don't like incompetency. Which I just loved. Hey everyone, welcome to IMDb Spotlight. Usually it's just me telling you interesting facts about your favorite actors, but today I have a guest host with me. Welcome Pratyush.
Hi, Anu.
According to his recent article, Pratyush is a big Vijay Deverakonda fan.
They call them rowdies.
Indeed, and are you one? Are you one?
I'm just very fascinated by him.
He is fascinating.
Extremely, by his non-performance, by his charm, which is...
Non-performance not in films, but in
real life.
In life, yeah.
I mean, we were just talking about the fact that he goes to the trailer launch of his big Bollywood film in rubber chappals.
Yeah, I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
And there's something about that performance of non-performance, of being this casual person in the midst of all of this artifice and all of this PR-produced beauty that I find fascinating.
So, Pratyush, we're here to talk about various facts that the two of us have found on IMDb about Vijay Deverakonda. Vijay got the role of Rishi in Yevade Subramanyam through an audition conducted in secret, apparently by director Nag Ashwin, which I think, again, to use the word you've established as the metaphor, not the metaphor, but the sort of through line for today's episode is fascinating.
Truly.
It is, it really is.
And it also speaks to the fact that they didn't, I mean, the reason why they were nervous about casting him, which is why they had to do it in secret, was that character, they considered him too sophisticated to play that character. And the character is like Dulquer Salman from Bangalore days. There's this unkempt rawness to him, which we recognize as a very Vijay Deverakonda thing today. But back then they considered him too sophisticated. And also in Yevade he would be starring opposite Nani. And Nani was seen as this figure who would just like eat up the screen. I mean, he is extremely charismatic.
He's a fabulous actor.
And so you needed someone opposite him who could be just as charismatic. And there was this doubt that constantly plagued people around Vijay Deverakonda. And of course he proved them all wrong. But it's just fascinating that there was this deep worry about casting him in the initial years.
But also, Pratyush, it's interesting to me that they consider him too sophisticated, because I think Vijay's appeal is really the rawness. It really is, and there is this sort of edge of eccentricity and unpredictability. You know, in a very manicured world, he feels like a little bit of a कुछ भी हो सकता है, कुछ भरोसा नहीं है इस आदमी का.
Absolutely.
Even with Liger, he's really playing the I am raw, I am street card, amped up to the volume of 11. You know, so I think that's what makes him, and it's completely, it's convincing, it's charismatic. It doesn't feel like he's a South Bombay boy slumming it.
True.
You know, it feels like he could be this person, which is why I'm excited to see the film.
Yeah, me too. I mean, someone described the film's and this energy as unhinged on Twitter.
Yes.
And I couldn't agree more. Like, I have no idea what is happening in that trailer. There's that energy which we haven't seen in Bombay cinema for so many years. And you're having him embody that is just fascinating. But to speak to that rawness and that people considered him sophisticated, he's often spoken about the fact that when he was studying, he didn't speak Telugu till about when he was till 10th grade, and then when he went back home he started getting used to it, and he has a very distinct, I think Sagar, who writes about Telugu cinema for us, had said that he has this very distinct Hyderabadi charm, which is very cosmopolitan. And there's that, I mean, even in his characters, he switches between Telugu and English with an ease that is quite rare, and he inhabits both worlds. Pelli Chuplu, for example, his famous film, ends with him singing, you know, an English song and an A.R. Rahman song in Telugu, because that's his charm, that he can inhabit both worlds. But that's also what made people worried about him, that he doesn't have that raw Telugu, Rayalaseema energy in him to do certain kinds of roles. He is an outsider in the real sense.
He is absolutely the outsider, which is again very admirable, because the Telugu film industry is really one massive film family. You know, literally there's like 5 major fiefdoms and everybody's related to everybody. And you know, for somebody to come out of nowhere and sort of find the position and make the position that he has, and then to also play it by his own rules.
Right.
You know, it is in a sense sort of Shah Rukh 27 years ago. Right. This who kind of penetrates the castle and kind of completely playing by his own rules.
At the time of his struggle, Vijay started creating a small circle of filmmakers to make his own films and to find work for himself. Because Yevade didn't work for him the way he thought it would.
Yeah. No, you know, he talks about this in interviews, about sort of creating the opportunities he didn't have. Because when he came in, obviously it was a long struggle, it was a tough struggle, and he talks about sort of finding like-minded people, creating those kind of sort of little cohorts that enable him to tell the stories that he wants to tell. And I think that that's also very interesting, again, in terms of like, I'll do this on my own terms.
Right.
You know, it's not about now that I'm famous, I'll tell the most mainstream stories. Because even if you look at the films, I mean, Dear Comrade, which it is flawed, but I think there's an amazing story in there. I felt it was just too long. If they had, you know, if it was less bloated, I think it might have worked better. But just choices are very interesting.
You know, there's this thing which is that he is wedded to stories.
Yes.
And directors.
Yeah.
Because I was
more than anything else.
More than anything else.
Yeah.
Because I was reading an interview that he did at the time of Peli Choplu, which was before Arjun Reddy. Yes, and he was talking about Arjun Reddy.
The breakthrough was Peli Choplu, yeah.
And he was so, even back then when Arjun Reddy was just an idea in people's heads, it hadn't released, he was talking about it with such passion. It was a 3-hour film about a very realistic, angry guy, is how he described it. And it's fascinating that even then, the way he talks about Arjun Reddy is so similar to the way today he talks about Arjun Reddy.
So he buys into a vision.
He truly buys into it and he sticks with it.
Yeah.
You know, come hell, hailstorm, criticisms of all kinds that has been heaped on him, and there has been a sufficient amount. Not to say that the criticism is unfair, it's just that he is wedded to his ideas, to his films, his directors in a way that doesn't change.
He sticks to his ground no matter what.
No matter what,
yeah.
He was offered the role of Kabir Singh, but he preferred to not take up that part. And he was also offered the lead role of Dear Comrade by Karan Johar. Anyone who wants to get into Bollywood really needs. But he rejected it. He decided against it, and he wasn't interested in remakes. He's not interested in telling the same story twice. Yeah,
which I think is wonderful, because I've never understood what the satisfaction is for any artist to do a remake. You know, directors telling the same narrative, and sometimes those narratives are frame to frame. Exactly the same. And I remember in our first interview that I did with him, it was very funny. He landed in Bombay and instantly got papped. Okay, and which is how I knew he was in Bombay. Okay, so I immediately sort of messaged the manager. I was like, he's in Bombay, I need this interview. And you know, they made time to kind of make it happen, even though he was only here for like a day literally. And he was saying that, so in the morning he had gone to Karan's office because Karan was screening Dear Comrade, and he said, I'm so exhausted, I just fell asleep on the couch. And then I woke up and I was like, where am I? Oh God, I'm in Karan Johar's office, right? But he was very clear that he would not do the same role again. He said, I've done it, I know what it is, it's just not interesting for me. And I think that is admirable, that you're not willing to take something that feels easy.
He gets bored by these characters easily.
And he said, I don't like incompetency. Which I just loved. He sounds like the Red Queen from Alice in Wonderland, like off with her head.
But with like a more unhinged energy, I feel, like just unpredictable.
Absolutely.
The rowdies.
Oh yeah, the fans, the rowdies.
So he attended the Filmfare Awards in 2018 with one of his lucky rowdies, and both wearing matching outfits to the event.
I love this story because he's also very much about the fans. You know, about sort of the clothing line called Rowdy that he's created for fans, you know, what they need to do, the foundation that he has. He's very much about sort of not fan service in terms of script choices, but engagement. I remember we had done a screening of Dear Comrade in Mumbai. We had organized a screening, and Vijay and Rashmika Mandana had flown here for that. And after that screening, and genuinely the only other person I've seen do this is Ranveer. After that screening, Pratyush, he told everyone that put your selfie cameras on, you know, just do the reverse thing and just get in line and I will pose. So he went through the entire auditorium at Le Rêve, just one row of seats after another, doing selfies with all his fans. And I thought that was incredible.
So for me, the whole rowdy thing is lovely because he said that he doesn't want to call them fans because there's this hierarchy that gets established when you're a fan and a star. And also the fact that he used to be called a rowdy. Right. So he used to be called a rowdy by his father, who used to call him rowdy for his film choices. And it's almost like he's bestowing a title upon his fans. The same title.
He's elevating rowdy.
He's elevating the word, he's elevating his fans, he's giving them the respect. And he's sort of subverting, of course, this idea of rowdyism too. But what I also find fascinating is that the word rowdy, so in his movie Nota, his first Tamil film, where he becomes a CM out of the blue, so he's this young man who doesn't care about much, and then suddenly he's made the CM and now suddenly he cares. And he's called the rowdy CM in that film. And he does this thing where he leaks his persona and his cinema so seamlessly sometimes. You know, I remember when the Hyderabad police once took a photo of someone with a bike whose nameplate was rowdy. Okay, and that's of course against the law, and they took a photo and put it out, and then he immediately tweeted to that saying, I will take care of this, I'll reach in and get in touch with them. And then he put out another note saying that we need to follow rules, some rules are made for us to follow. And then he signs it off as your rowdy comrade, where he was tapping into
so he's one of all of them.
He's tapping into his dear comrade persona also, and where the
smart
idea
marketing.
Great, right? And it's like, I'm one among you. I'm here in the ride, you're with me for my ride, I'm here with you for your ride. Here's someone who's actually trying to at least linguistically get rid of that hierarchy between a fan and a star.
According to the awards section in his IMDb page, Vijay won the Filmfare Award for Best Actor Telugu for his role in and as Arjun Reddy in 2018. Later, he auctioned his Filmfare trophy for 25 lakhs. He donated the money he got from the auction to the CM's relief fund. Again, very, very disruptive stuff. You know, so you won the award, and obviously he must be thrilled to win the award, but then you use the award to also kind of give back, also add to the disruptor persona, also goodwill, man. You know, there's no way to go wrong with something like this.
And it's like 25 lakhs. He was initially thinking, I think it was going to be 5 lakhs.
I read that too.
I mean, just first of all, there's irreverence towards the award itself, I feel, at some level. But then, like you said, there's also the irreverence, saying that I'm going to do something, do it publicly, do it for the good of people. There's nothing you can say about that.
You can't find fault even if you're Filmfare.
Poor things, what do they do?
You can't. The interesting thing for me also is, Pratyush, in the middle of all of this stuff, which is sort of paying it forward, he sometimes says things and then you're taken aback, and I feel like sometimes he doesn't think it through.
And because he's so charming, and because he doesn't say it with a mean spirit, and you can see that, right?
No, it's not mean-spirited.
It's never mean-spirited. It never comes from a space of hatred.
Not at all.
And you can see that. Somewhere you can see that, which is why you tell him, you know, maybe we should cut that out. Maybe we don't post that, because why would you want to jeopardize your own image? And here's a person who doesn't think about image, so he doesn't think the people around him don't think. It's like, who's thinking? We are thinking for him, you know, at the end of the day. Because of course there is that relationship of, here's this star-like person who doesn't mean bad. According to his IMDb page, he stayed away from watching light-hearted comedy movies and preferred watching dark films to stay in the character of Arjun Reddy. While filming the movie.
I can imagine that, because you know, if you see that film, of course, if you can get past all the problematic areas, the character of Arjun Reddy is also very pathetic. He's very pathetic, despite the toxic masculinity and the the sort of, you know, the very kind of I'm king of the world and I own you persona. You know, there's that scene with this top shot where he pees in his pants when he's lying in bed. You know, I don't know how many Hindi film heroes have been in those situations. And so I think you would need to tap into some fairly dark and wretched places to be able to bring a character like that to life. It's like I remember Ranveer talking about playing Khilji in Padmavat and, you know, eating kilos of red meat because that's how he felt he could bring out that level of aggression and you know, just the very primal kind of animalistic attitude, you know. So yeah, I guess it makes sense that he didn't see happy films.
I mean, there's a part of me that sometimes thinks when actors speak of it like this, there's...
Might be just PR?
Not just PR, but like there's a sense that it's like sometimes when Bhansali says it's just acting,
right?
You know,
right?
And sometimes you're glad that they take their craft seriously.
Yeah.
So I constantly veer between the two things. But I totally get what you're saying about him being pathetic, because I couldn't watch Arjun Reddy because I thought the film was noxious. I thought it was like acid being poured down my throat.
Yeah.
But what I did was I watched scenes across the 3 remakes, and there's an arrogance to the character, of course.
Of course, yeah.
But like you said, he brings this vulnerability, this patheticness to Arjun Reddy that wasn't there in Kabir Singh.
Absolutely.
It wasn't there in the Tamil version.
And he is also very charismatic on screen, which is why I bought into Arjun Reddy way more than I bought into Kabir Singh.
Absolutely.
Because
Aditya Varma.
and you know, I read the piece you did on him on his Coffee with Karan episode, and you talked about his beauty and and how even though it can be you know, he has done characters who are toxic, including of course Arjun Reddy, but somehow he makes you kind of believe and emotionally invest. And
you
that's
root
a big
for
one.
him, yeah.
You do root for him.
You
Is
do.
that dangerous? I want to ask you.
It is, which is why in the piece I spoke about the fact that he has this charm that makes you hate your hormones, right? You're attracted and you know you shouldn't be, but you still are, and it's because the politics of desire is so different from the politics of, you know, morality.
Yeah.
And we don't desire because they're politically correct. We just desire, and he stands as that fault line where we finally recognize that, okay, we can be attracted to something that is extremely misogynistic, problematic, call it whatever you want, but that doesn't diminish the desire, which is, you know, fascinating.
On the sets of Indian Idol 12, Vijay had promised one of the finalists, Shanmukha Priya, a chance to sing a song in his film. The promise was actually fulfilled, and she has contributed her voice to a song in his upcoming Liger. So again, it's that whole thing of connecting with fans, paying it forward, creating opportunity. It's a consistent note in his career.
And he also knows how to milk it.
Right, of course.
He's not this person who's going to do this behind the scenes.
Right.
Like a year ago, I think Liger put out a video, the YouTube channel put out a video about her and meeting Vijay and recording the song, and that's I think like 7 million views.
Yeah.
So he knows. He is what he is.
It's good press.
Yeah, it's good press. He knows that it's good press. I think he knows how to milk this attitude of his, this non-performance of his.
So even the non-performance is a performance.
It is, absolutely. And that's the thing about it, which is that we don't doubt it though.
That was fun, Pratyush. Let's do it more often.
Absolutely.
And I will see you at Liger.
At Liger screening, yeah.
So guys, if you like discovering interesting facts about your favorite actors, download the IMDb app and just check it out. There's lots of amazing stories and anecdotes.
And if you are a big rowdy yourself and you think you know more about Vijay Deverakonda than IMDb, do go on to IMDb and feed that in.
Thank you for watching.